Welcome, everyone. This is my test world. Now, yesterday was, I think it was Day of the Dead, and I'm pretty sure, and I know it was like Day of the Remembered for church people, Christian people, or something like that. But also yesterday, something amazing happened. Now, this is, well, let me explain first. In, I believe it's 3rd or 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons Red Box, you get a map. And this is on one side of the map. This is Crossroads. And I've recreated it to the best of my ability in Minecraft. Now, yesterday I did Dungeons & Dragons with my sister and my friend Toa from the Minecraft, no, from the Anesthesia server. What am I talking? I watch too many YouTube videos. I am a charismatic human wizard. Alignment is chaotic neutral. I was standing about here. Toa was a hardy dwarf, standing about there. And my sister was a sneaky rogue. The only reason I pointed out alignment neutral is because it's important. Now if I can get up on this signpost. There we go. Now, before we began, or rather as my human wizard named Jerry Lanternbark rolled and was able. I found out he was able to speak Draconian, and I'm like, and we're saying that my sister had run up to Dwarf and I and gone, I need help with these goblins that I found. And I'm like, okay, maybe the dragons will help us. Let me call them. Ah! They then took this to be serious and said that I rolled a 1 when I didn't roll anything. And 3 wolves appeared. Now, my sister, being this sneaky rogue that she was, moved on this rock. And, well, we rolled for initiative. She got first, then the wolves, then the dwarf, and finally me. You'll find that I go last a lot of the time. The wolves! They moved in. Closer. Let's put them about there. I don't remember the crossroads as vividly as I remember the next part. You'll see. And, well, not there. More like here. Seriously, I'm gonna kill this dang rain. It's the one thing I don't have a machine to turn off yet. Since I have a, what's that called? I have a daylight resetter. Sort of thing. So, she moves up there, the wolves move in closer. And Toa moves over here to attack the wolf. And I move away and attack from afar on this wolf. Sister moves down here to attack this wolf. This one moves over here, right there, to attack that wolf. And together, I and Toa eliminate this wolf. Now she's in trouble. I think it was over here, because the next turn she manages to scramble back on the rock. While I'm thinking about it, this is actually supposed to be too high, since they are black. They're black boxes on the map, and you're not allowed to actually step in them. So, dwarf backs up, and the wolves are closing in. One's over here, and one's, like, back here. I moved closer at some point. I don't remember when, but I was, like, there. I was, like, there. And, eventually the wolf came over... No, wait, I think it was... It must have been there. And Toa, being hurt, moved back there. Sister comes down on the other side of the wolf, and I use one of my spells, Hypnotize, to move the wolf back and give us some time with this one. Wolf misses my sister, and me, now that my sister is down here with us, and eventually we kill the wolf. Thank goodness. The other wolf comes over and eventually gets between us two, or at least nearby, and my main magic attack is Magic Missile. So I kill the wolf, and we're all standing around and going, okay, you two are, like, badly hurt. Somehow I managed through the entire wolf attack without taking a single point of damage. And that's important for later as well. So, I try and heal them, but on my first heal roll... Oh, wait, no. First I'm like, okay, guys, I need you to roll to cut off a wolf's leg, because I want a wolf leg. It's successful, and I now have a wolf leg, but now we're like, okay, you two need to be healed. First heal roll, rolled a 1. Didn't heal my sister... Instead, I resurrected the wolf. With, like, 2 HP and a friggin... and aggravation or something, so it had more attack. It never got to attack because we immediately killed it. But then I went over to, like, explore this in downtime while these two healed themselves. And that's how Crossroads went. And then we flipped over the map and got to part 2. This is the monster lair. It says it across here, but I couldn't do that in Minecraft. So here we start, up here, and the goblins don't know we're here. Yet. We can tell that there are 2 guards right there, and that's about it. There's also a corpse right there. In the trees. All the green part is trees. And in there is the goblin place. Now, Brilliant Sister decides... Hold on. Okay, Brilliant Sister decides, I'm gonna sneak over here through these bushes. And she did it. Meanwhile, I and Toa go over here. Because I have the brilliant idea, I am going to distract the 2 guards and pull them over across the river and use the water, saying that they're wet, as a bonus for one of my... I think it's Freezing Wave or something. One of my spells is a ice attack. So I was going to kill these 2 goblins. However, my intimidation roll flunks, and instead of these 2 goblins being, like, coming out to get me, I was also going to use a different spell, which was, like, illusory obstacles or something, and, like, get them confused and dizzy and something over here. Make it so they don't just walk straight up into my face and murder me. But instead, since my intimidation bluff failed, they yell back into the cave for help. Now, at the same time, my sister is like, okay, I want to sneak over next to this goblin and steal the human leg that these two goblins are arguing over. But she flunks that roll and her stealth roll, and both goblins see her immediately. And they call for help as well, which confuses everyone else in the monster lair. By this time I'm like, maybe I should go back, and whoops. And Toa here is like, okay, fine, I'm going to go kill them now. These goblins make their approach. No, I don't actually think they did. Yet. No. So anyway, all the monsters are confused. And I have the strangest feeling that this should be a stone. So all the monsters are confused, and I'm like, okay, wait for me. Dang it. Okay. Don't need too tall wizard, don't need wizard in the ground, thanks. Jerry, work with me here. So over here, Sister decides, I'm gonna leave the forest, and these two goblins, like, or rather, I'm gonna leave into the forest, and these two goblins are gonna, like, yeah, walk up to the forest. It's at this point that I tell Toa, don't kill the goblins, I have an idea. So she goes and investigates that corpse instead. I run out here and I do the stupidest, craziest thing. Stupidest, craziest, most amazing thing. I decide to charisma roll against the goblins. So the first roll succeeds. And both goblins... I am using the wolf leg to charisma these two goblins. And they're all over me. Like, not even killing me, they're just like, give me the leg, I want the leg. So, while that's happening, Sister sneaks, gets a successful sneak roll past the goblins. And the two goblins wander into the woods, looking for her. They spend about 3 turns in there. I don't remember what Toa did a whole bunch of this time, but I moved about here. With the two goblins. And instead of doing a charisma roll against the goblins, first I had to have the goblins do a charisma roll as well to make sure they wouldn't be like, this guy's an idiot, I'm just gonna kill him and take the leg. They fail that roll. And instead, they're like, and then, forgot to mention, after that, I try a different roll. Diplomacy. And succeed. I now have 2 goblins all willingly on my side. And Toa, the dungeon master, can't believe it. She was running the whole game. So, Sister comes over here and realizes there's one goblin. She's trying to sneak and fails, and there's one goblin, like, staring at her going, "You're really trying to sneak in here? Really? Really?" So meanwhile, these two goblins are lost. Toa comes out and she's like, what is going on? Or rather, I think she went in toward the goblin lair. I think she tried another intimidation roll, but failed that one, because she tried an intimidation roll from over here, and actually intimidated these two guards earlier into backing into the cave, so that when they came out again, and I was standing about here, they weren't tearing my face off immediately. So eventually, the two goblins and myself are standing about here when these two goblins finally make it out of the woods, and they see me, and I then try a diplomacy roll against these two more goblins, and succeed, which is the best part. So now I have 4 goblins. And myself, while these two are standing there going, what? So, Sister moves over next to what I think we called Toothy or something, the goblin. They start whacking each other, and she's not doing so good, but she has surges for that. And slowly, Toa is making her way over to help. It is at that point that me and the goblins each try an intimidation roll into the cave. 2 goblins and myself succeed. It is about this point that we realize there is one more goblin. I think I've placed him slightly wrong. And we start arguing who the boss is. Because you see, there's a throne made of bones over here, sitting in front of a whole bunch of, like, pelts or something on the floor. And I'm like, well, there has to be something sitting there. And both my sister and Toa are like, no. Well, my sister is mostly like, no, that's a bad idea. I'm like, there has to be a Goblin King, come on. Instead, just thinking of the wolves from earlier, I said jokingly, you know, it'd be hilarious if there was a wolf sitting on the throne. Toa then puts down a token for a large wolf with spikes in its fur, and thus is created the Wolf King, a dire wolf. Oh boy. However, due to the intimidation rolls of 2 goblins and myself, both this goblin and the Wolf King are intimidated. Like, paralyzed with fear. But the entire time beforehand, they were missing rolls for, I don't know, it must have been trust for, oh, what is it? And trust for the guards, because they're sitting here going, ah, yeah, the guards can take care of it the whole time. So, me and Goblins and friends move further in. These two eventually finally take out Toothy over here, the one goblin who actually died in this campaign. And these two aren't moving or doing anything. So, Sister stealth rolls over here about, and Toa is quite a distance behind. I move about here with goblins all about. It is then when my sister runs up and actually attacks the goblin officer, or at least what I call the goblin officer. And I'm like, don't kill that goblin. So, dang, freaking rain, come on. I'm trying to tell a story here. So, not only do I try a diplomacy roll, I get all the goblins to do a diplomacy roll. And it's at that point that Toa goes, you know what, forget it. That I'm gonna mark them with quartz slabs. That goblin is now yours. I have 5 goblins on my side. And the Wolf King hasn't moved yet because he's still intimidated. So, on this roll, we do another intimidation, or wait, no, I think on that last roll, the Wolf King managed to break out of intimidation, but couldn't move. So then I have the 5 goblins each roll intimidation, intimidating the Wolf King again, and it's at this moment that I actually perform one of my dailies. Sleep on the Wolf King, and he needs to succeed a saving roll in order to wake up against my intelligence, which is 18. Oh boy. Obviously he fails the versus will save to keep from falling asleep. And it is at that point that my sister goes over here and she's like, I'm forget it. I'm just gonna go look for treasure. She finds a magic staff for me and then an axe for Toa here, who's just catching up. I move forward, and all of my goblin friends have moved into position. I have to make this wall bigger too because it is impassable. It's a cave wall. And I'm hitting him with a magic missile and about 2 or 3 goblins every turn while he sleeps. Halfway through, he did manage to wake up and hit one of my goblins down to half health in one attack. So I move one goblin over here, and I myself move up and use one of my encounter cards. Encounter abilities. Burning Hands. It's basically twice as effective as a magic missile. While this is going on, Toa moves over and helps my sister look for loot. And they find a bunch of gold. Meanwhile, finally... Oh, wait, no. The Wolf King goes into a frenzy, gaining an extra attack per turn, and attacks that same goblin, doing 13 damage, bringing the goblin down to 2 HP, and the second attack misses. I'm already hysterical about how many goblins I have on my side. It is after that the turn with the frenzy that the Wolf King is defeated. I move on to the throne, surrounded by my goblin friends. And I roll to heal my one goblin. Crit! That goblin is like, bam! He is good as new. He's like, almost better than new. And all the goblins are like, this is amazing! This guy's awesome! Meanwhile, my sister and Toa are sitting in the corner going, I can't freaking believe this. I can't believe this. So, I would like to mention that this entire time, I myself, Jerry Lanternbark, have not taken a single point of damage. The entire campaign. And then, through my single-handed efforts, win nearly 90% of the entire thing. The 10% being Toothy the Goblin over here, which I didn't get to, recruit. I would have if I could, but I didn't. So that is that. 5 goblins all on my side, and myself on the throne of bones, about to exit over here come next week into the dungeon proper, which I have not recreated. I will probably do that, like, probably next week. Because honestly, we're not done with this campaign. My prediction is that we will all 8 of us will go into that dungeon, and the goblins will all die except maybe one, but they're probably all dead anyway. And then I will probably be near dead at some point. My sister and Toa will probably be near dead at some point as well. However, this wasn't part of the module. The maps were included, but all of the monsters made up this week it just came out of thin air. Toa made them up. And their stats were all, like, based off of stats from the book. So those 3 wolves weren't supposed to show up on Crossroads. I honestly don't know what Crossroads is for. It's probably for the in-game... they play the character creator thing. And then all 6 goblins and the Wolf King were also placed there by Toa, and then their stats were used from the book. And then our characters were made by us. But what happened last night, was simply incredible. It was hilarious and awesome, and I have 5 goblins. I'm the Goblin King! Whee! See you next time, folks. Next week we tackle the dungeon. Wish us luck.